The Young Bucks show up in the absence of Auston Matthews as the Leafs pull out a gutsy win over the Bruins and force a Game 6 back in Toronto. Let's break down the win on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. And if you want to go to the game and snag some tickets to Game Time, maybe some last-minute seats, Game Time is the best place to snag those tickets using the code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get $20 off because there is a Game 6, Dave. The Leafs stay alive, a gutsy effort with Auston Matthews unable to go. They brought it to overtime. Joseph Woll with a massive save in the first minute of extra time, and then a big-time goal from Matthews Knies to win the game and send this thing to a Game 6. How you feeling, buddy?
Isn't it just poetic that with one Arizona native unable to play, it's the other Arizona native that steps up and gets the game winner?
Yeah, I never thought about that, but you're right. That's essentially what ended up happening here. And look, I think the Leafs have a lot to be proud about in that victory. Sheldon Keefe, his post-game press conference, he was much. It was night and day from Game 4 to Game 5. Much happier with the effort from his squad. Did not sound defeated, sounded quite delighted, I would say, post-game tonight after that win. And they should be. They should feel really good about themselves. Like, that's not an easy thing to do, to go into Boston down 3-1 without your best player in Auston Matthews. Everyone else thinks that the series is already over and thinking that it's going to be post-mortem episodes for, all of the Leafs, pundit talk shows such as ours. But they said, no, we believe in ourselves. We think that we have an opportunity with the guys in the room that we can band together and we can win this freaking hockey game and keep the season alive. That's exactly what they did. I think that they deserve a lot of credit for coming out the way that they did, showing that, hey, we're not dead yet. And it's going to take, a lot to kill us, essentially. And they put forth a pretty valiant effort tonight.
They did. And I will say a lot of people in the Discord are like, there's no way they're going to lose tonight. They want to make sure they extend this to at least 7 games, and that's when they're going to lose it. They got to
positive vibes, Dave. Let's keep the positive vibes. Let's not look ahead.
I know. Let's not look too. We kind of mentioned it a little bit too, but I think this is where the Leafs kind of excel, right? They're missing a key part of their lineup. And it's happened many times throughout the season. They were without Marner for a stretch, without Riley for a stretch. And this is when the team plays their best hockey. Yeah. When their backs are against the wall and and it's not one guy that's asked to step up. It's the collective group. We said that. It was going to take a collective effort for them to pull this out. And by gosh darn it, they did it.
Yeah, I mean, you could really say that pretty well every player out there tonight probably had one of their best games of the series, from lines 1 down to 4, pairs 1 through 3, and certainly Joseph Woll getting the start tonight, his first start of the playoffs. He gave them everything that they needed and more to get the victory tonight. I mean, if it wasn't for Woll making some big-time saves throughout that hockey game, I mean, unfortunately, this is a completely different sounding show. It is far more somber if he didn't come up with those big saves on Charlie Coyle in overtime or on Trent Frederick there in the third period, stretching to get his leg out there, or that redirect in the second period where he just kicked it out with the toe of his skate. Some big time stops tonight from Joseph Woll. Keefe made the right decision to make a change in net, and Joseph Woll was up for the challenge. He was a big reason why they won tonight.
He was. This is what we were talking about, where the Leafs hadn't had a goalie steal them a game.
Yes.
And outgoal Jeremy Swayman either.
That was it. So I don't know if I would go as far to say that he stole the game. So I think the Maple Leafs actually outplayed Boston.
They did.
Certainly outplayed them in the first half of the game. I think it was a little more even. I think the Bruins played better in the third, but I think overall the Maple Leafs were the better team throughout the entirety of play, especially in the first period where they dominated. But that being said, I think both goaltenders were terrific tonight. So it's not necessarily that I think Joseph Woll stole the game tonight because I think the Leafs were the better team, but he outdueled and was the better goalie. How often have we been able to say that in a series that the Leafs netminder was the better goalie of the two tonight? That doesn't happen a lot. And tonight we were able to say that. And it's a big reason for why the Leafs season is, chugging along here toward a game 6.
It is. It really is. Like you mentioned the overtime save. You know how deflating,
Dude.
the reaction that, like, not only to lose it in overtime, but to lose it that quickly
Yeah,
in
it would have been like
overtime.
56, 57 seconds into OT. That would have been so garbage, man. Oh, luckily we don't have to think about that though, because it
Nope.
didn't happen. And then like 30 seconds later, a minute later, it was in the back of the net. Great strong play by Tavares to take it hard to the net. And then Matthew Knies kind of picking up the loose change in and around the crease. And that's how we said this team is going to need to score goals. They weren't getting enough chances. They weren't getting enough shots. They weren't getting enough rebound opportunities either. Those second, third opportunities. Swayman's done a really good job of gobbling those up. Tonight, he left one out there, left one in the crease for the Maple Leafs to pounce on, and Matthew Knies made no mistake about it. We talked about how it was a massive game from Joseph Woll, but the other young buck who really shined tonight, I thought, was Matthew Knies, not just for the goal he scored to win the game, but I thought overall he was just a dominant two-way force tonight, a real 200-foot beast out there. I think Jake McCabe said it best. He's probably one of the strongest guys out on the ice, and he's an absolute beast, and he's a horse out there, and he's tough to move off the puck. And he's a guy who really stepped up for the Leafs tonight as well.
Yeah, and again, they needed it. They weren't going to win this game if guys didn't elevate their play.
Yep.
And to me, that was why, in a lot of ways, yeah, there was obviously nervousness, but the way they came out right off the gate, right off the hop, that to me signaled, all right, they're ready for this. The guys understood the challenge that was set in front of them. There's so many things you can pick at in this game, and guys stepping up, as you mentioned. But to me, it was the way that they played with conviction right off the hop. That to me showed that they were ready for this.
They took control of the game, and they scored the first goal of the game for the first time in the series too, which was important. And they weren't, trailing, trying to claw their way back. They set the tone early with some great dominant play. I mean, the Boston Bruins didn't get their second shot on goal until like the 6-minute mark in the first period. Now, it did go into the back of the net, unfortunately. Really, really tough, bad bounce. That was really the only goal that the Bruins were able to score tonight. But that just goes to show how dominant the Maple Leafs were. I think it was 12-2 was the shot differential in the first period. The scoring chances or the shot attempts was like 30-7. The scoring chances was insane. Like, that was a textbook first period from the Toronto Maple Leafs to set the tone and say, hey, we are here to try and win and keep the season. We're not dead yet. Okay. Everyone else is writing us off tonight. We still think we could win this. No Matthews, no problem. We still have a chance to band together and find a way, and found a way they did. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. And look, it took a lot of guys, right? Joseph Woll, obviously, he played fantastic. Matthew Knies played fantastic. That top line of Marner, Domi, and Tyler Bertuzzi were excellent. You talk about setting the tone early. That line set the tone in dominant fashion with a lot of really quality looks early on. They spent basically the entire game in the offensive end. I think the shot differential when Domi was on the ice tonight, 20-4. 20-4.
Mm-hmm.
That's how dominant that guy was. He was 85% in the faceoff dot. He was outstanding. And that whole line in general was great. So, we're giving the flowers and giving kudos to a lot of different players, but that just goes to show how collective of a victory this was. And it had to be with the absence of Auston Matthews. Why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back. We'll get through. We'll get to our 3 stars of the game. Dive a little deeper into some of these players and give more thoughts on the victory and maybe what's in store going ahead into game number 6. If Auston is back, do you touch that top line? That's a question I'm going to ask you in a little bit, Dave. So be prepared to answer that one. We'll get to all of that and more on the other side. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotor.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NHL, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to puck drop. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets. They've got flash deals. They've got zone deals, the all-in pricing, but my favorite, the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So if you plan on making it down to Scotiabank Arena for Game 6, make sure to take a peek on Game Time to see if you can pick up some cheap last-minute tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying hockey tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Hello and welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you. We are hosts here at Locked On Leafs. We're a daily Maple Leaf centric podcast. We got 5 episodes a week coming at you every single weekday, Monday through Friday. And we've just surpassed the 5,000 subscriber mark. We've actually long surpassed that now. We're up to 5,300 or something. We've just really throughout the playoffs picked up a whole whack of new subscribers. So thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed. But there's also a lot of you that have yet to sign up for the Auston Matthews jersey giveaway. You're not going to want to forget because round 1 is quickly coming to a close, and that means the contest will be coming to a close. So, David, why don't you tell the good listeners, the everydayers and the newbies, how they can get themselves involved in this Auston Matthews jersey giveaway?
Yeah, so look at the description, whether you're on audio or on video. Click on the Google Forms link, or you can even go to the contest website. Provide your information in the Google form. We will then, as soon as the first round is over, we will do a draw for the jersey. We'll record a video, put the video out, show who won, and we will contact that person because that person has signed up and give us their contact information. Yes. And you will get yourself a brand spanking new Auston Matthews jersey.
Yes. If you want to say Poppy, number 69 on the back, we might be able to set that up too. I don't know. But for now, probably just an Auston Matthews.
Might have to ask Mama Morassutti, who's a seamstress, if she's willing to do that.
Yeah. If not, maybe that's the 10,000, the 10K giveaway. That's the 69K giveaway. If we get 69,000,
6.9. Oh, wait, 69,000? Oh, wow.
Yeah. That needs to be a major milestone, buddy. Major milestone. If we can
if we do get to 69, I'm also going to make my own Poppy 69 jersey and put it behind me.
That's right. We'll get a Poppy 69 jersey if we get to 69,000 subscribers here. Mm-hmm. So don't forget, you can follow us whichever platform you use to listen to your audio podcast. You could also watch the podcast up on YouTube. All right, Dave. Let's continue recapping the Maple Leafs 2-1 overtime victory over the Boston Bruins. Matthews Knies with the game-winning goal in overtime Tavares taking it hard to the net. Matthews Knies, I should say, depositing the loose puck into the back of the net, keeping the Leafs season alive for at least one more night. We're heading back to Toronto, as Joe Bowen said, for Game 6. But let's go through our 3 stars from Game 5. So, who's your third star of the game, Dave?
I'm gonna combine. I'm gonna go with Max Domi and John Tavares stepping up without Auston Matthews.
Tavares, Domi and Tavares. You're going with?
Okay. Yeah. So let's start with Domi first. Obviously, everyone's talking about whether or not this guy can play center. When the Leafs were not doing well at the start of the year, they moved Domi to center. That seems to spark a good change for the team. Come Game 5, he's put at center, and he is dominating faceoffs.
85% faceoff rate tonight. 85%, 12 for 14. Outstanding.
You want to know why the Leafs were so dominant in the scoring chances department when that line was on the ice? That was the reason why.
That's
maintaining possession. That was so critical. And the way he got the whole line going, I only had one criticism of Max Domi.
Shoot damn puck.
The puck. As
Yeah.
soon as he started slowing down, I'm like, oh no, he's not gonna shoot it. Oh, Max. I hope Ty is calling him right now saying, but son, you played well, but shoot the bleeping puck.
Yeah, I know. I think every Leaf fan was yelling at their television screen, shoot. When
on
that
that 2-on-1.
But
now I want to go to John Tavares. I'm going to read out a tweet here from Jonas Siegel. Tavares played 22 and a half minutes, most among forwards. Primary assist on the OT winner. Without that play, that OT winner doesn't happen.
Yeah,
6
he was
hits.
my OT winning pick, by the way, and I feel vindicated that he was the catalyst toward the goal.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite make me right, but I do feel like I was good for having a good feeling about Tavares.
I was going to tweet out Tavares too because I was watching the Hockey Night panel give their picks, and I'm like, no one's picking Tavares, the guy who literally won it for them last year.
Exactly.
You know,
I was doing the Leafs broadcast today. That was really cool,
Yeah.
actually, to be able to do that with Bonesy
Awesome
and
job.
Ralphie and Jim Daddy. Thank you, appreciate it.
Listen
And
to the pregame.
that was my guy. We had to pick our overtime winners, and I went with John Tavares. That's who I said. I was like, Johnny Tirana, captain of the Maple Leafs, is gonna get it done.
Who did the Tat Man choose?
Tyler Bertuzzi. He chose Bertuzzi because which again, the way that top line was buzzing, like, yeah, that would make sense for Bertuzzi to do it, right? You figured it was going to be a garbage goal, and that's how Bertuzzi scores. And it was a garbage goal just by Matthew Knies instead of Tyler Bertuzzi. But continue with the John Tavares love.
So 6 hits on the night.
Beauty.
83% on defensive zone faceoffs. We were talking about how this team was going to handle the defensive responsibilities without Matthews, how they're going to handle the Pastrnak line. That line, I said Matthew Knies is going to be a big part of it, and I think he was. And Tavares is also 73% expected goals.
Big.
Huge.
Big. Huge for them because, them getting matched up against the Pastrnak line, for them to, what was the number there, sorry? In the 83% in the defensive zone?
Defensive zone faceoffs.
Yeah, so 83% D-zone faceoff. So, I mean, when you win the draw in your own end, that gives you the best opportunity to get the puck out, right? So that's why I think Pastrnak was pretty ineffective tonight. Where was Pasta tonight? I mean, he didn't really do a whole lot.
He was too busy running away when Morgan Riley fought back against him.
Yeah, that was a bad look. That was a pretty bad look. Also, it was hilarious when Brad Marchand got dumped by the ref. That was also kind of humorous. But they did a really good job. Like I'll egg on my face. I thought that was going to be, I wasn't worried, but I did think, okay, Mitch Marner comes off that line, a more defensively responsible winger, and now Willie's going to be tasked with, playing defense against those guys and against Pastrnak. Wasn't quite sure how that was going to work out, if it was going to be positive or negative. Turned out to be a positive, but again, similar to what Domi was able to do in the offensive zone, Tavares winning draws in the defensive zone, they got the puck out right away, right?
Mhm.
D zone draw, all right, win it back, get the puck out, get it to Willie, take it up ice. And that's exactly what they're able to do. They also established a good forecheck too tonight, which is something that, we've been waiting for them to do. I know as much as you hate the dump and chase a little bit, the dump and chase was working tonight, but it works when you can actually establish a forecheck, unlike, a couple of games here that they've played. But yeah, I Tavares certainly played well. Another guy who stepped up in Auston Matthews' absence for sure. I had Matthew Knies as my third star tonight. Who was on that line with Tavares. He was the one who had the game-winning goal. So there's obviously that. He also had that wraparound opportunity that, again, the Leafs catching a bad break by the puck was loose and the whistle comes in just as it kind of gets up to Marner in the slot. Hey, opportunity for him to hammer it home. But anyways, um, but what it was for me when it came to Matthew Knies was I was impressed with his two-way ability. Like this guy's turning into a 200-foot power forward. That's a big development for this team. Like there was a couple of pockets that he picked tonight. I think he had two or three takeaways tonight, and one was on David Pastrnak in the defensive zone. Anytime you take a puck off of Pastrnak, and it was like a strip. Thank you. Stick lift, taking that, going up ice. Anytime you could do that to Pastrnak, nullifying as offensive zone opportunities for Pasta, that's a good thing in my book. So for him to be able to do that, was awesome, was solid. Jake McCabe had some really good comments on Matthew Knies afterward, talking about how the guy's even starting to kill penalties now. He's just such a big, powerful guy on the ice. He's often the strongest guy on the ice. Tough to move out of the way and tough to defend against. And when he's trying to rip pucks off you, it's hard to stop him from doing that because of his strength. So Matthew Knies, I thought, was really solid away from the puck today. His defensive play was solid, and then obviously the game-winning goal, just a nice little cherry on top too. But he was outstanding. Definitely one of his best games as a Maple Leaf, I would say.
Yeah, I had him as my second star.
Mm-hmm.
What bumped it up for me, not just the overtime winner, but as you were talking about that scrum with Pastrnak goes after Riley, and he comes in, he says, "Come after me, come after me," and then as soon as he's like, "Oh, you don't want?" I love that. That's
there's some chirping. There's some. He was giving him faces too, which is hilarious.
Yeah, he wasn't just saying like, and he knows that they weren't real. Pastrnak wasn't going to do anything.
No,
That's the best part of it. Like standing up, get into their heads a little bit here, and saying, and it wasn't just how he said it. It's as you said, it was the face he was making, like kind of clowning him a little bit.
I didn't think about this until now, but we always not clown, because you just used that word. I almost wanted to use it, but we always degrade the Maple Leafs when they shy away from that type of stuff, from the rough stuff. Like whenever Marner and Matthews, don't get into it and kind of skate away or, turtle or whatever. And we say, see, this is why, this team will never win in the playoffs because their stars do stuff like that and they never do this, that, and the what Pastrnak did on that play, running away from Riley, not willing to engage physically. I do wonder if that's it, like if that's kind of the Leafs getting into Pasta's head. Like I don't know how I want to frame this, but if we think that it's a negative when Matthews and Marner, shy away from the contact and shy away from the physicality, it's got to be negative when Pastrnak does it too, right?
1,000%. Because
Leafs.
Pastrnak is willing to go out and dish out hits, but then this is, I think, the first time that someone actually really went up to his face and be like, "You want it? Come on, let's go."
Oh,
Like
Riley was ready to drop. He
Yeah.
was ready to just absolutely feed him rights. He was ready to drop and go with David Pastrnak. Now that'd be a really good trade-off too. Riley for Pasta.
Oh,
I'll
shout
take
out
that for
Pontus Holmberg for getting Marchand off the ice too.
Yeah,
That's an honorable star of the night.
Oh, and did you know? Apparently, Marchand is allowed in the penalty box. I wasn't convinced. I
Yeah.
wasn't convinced after the first few games that he was even allowed to sit inside that
Yeah.
little cubicle. Turns out he is. Twice he found himself
Wow.
inside the penalty box. Not once, but twice, Dave. Kind of funny.
It
Kind of
is funny.
funny. Interesting.
I totally forgot that this guy is he is such a clean player. He doesn't go to the penalty box is not for him. I play too clean to go to the penalty box. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. But Matthew Knies, continue to give him love.
Yeah. I mean, strong, powerful. He does what we've been telling this team to do right from the start of the series. Go to the net.
Yes.
Andiamo, go, avanti. I can say it as many times in Italian as you want. Go to the net, good things happen. Doesn't need to be pretty. We didn't ask for pretty goals. We want goals, right? Like again,
ask just how many, right?
we got
many?
2.
Yeah, it still wasn't enough. Or it was enough this time, but
it was enough. But I was like,
more. It was barely enough.
People were asking me what buddy of mine was asking me in the chat, like, what do I think? I said 3-2 Leafs. I said that I'm hoping that's because I didn't expect. Yeah, if you're gonna go like 4-5-2 Leafs, I don't know what you've been looking at with this team all series long. For them to go with a 5 spot would have been like it would have blown my mind away. So yeah. I just think again, you need guys to start doing that more. It makes that Bruins defense have to now think about other guys on the ice, right? And Swayman gets Swayman thinking a little bit, right? He can't just look at the one guy shooting. He's got to be worried about the other guy that's coming at him, and he's got to be a little more choosy now on what he's doing in the net.
Yeah, for sure. My second star, I gave to the top line. I thought that they were outstanding. It's Tyler Bertuzzi, Max Domi, and Mitch Marner as a trio. They were terrific tonight. At 5-on-5, their stat line reads as follows: 11 minutes and 46 seconds of ice time together. The shot attempt discrepancy was 23-12. The shot differential was 10-3. The scoring chances differential was also in the Maple Leafs' favor in 11-5 for scoring chances for and against. And then obviously they were on the ice for the lone goal in regulation with a nice snapback win. Marner came in and pushed the puck to McCabe. So Marner technically ended up with the primary on that one, but Domi, Marner, McCabe, and then it was also Tyler Bertuzzi going to the net, taking away the eyes, screening the goaltender, allowing that puck to find its way through to the back of the net. All 4 players that I just mentioned factors on that play. But you just talk about how many waves of pressure that top line had right from the get-go, right from puck drop. That line was generating chances and continually, winning their shifts, staying in the offensive end, allowing other teams to come over the boards, and then also another shift in the offensive end. I thought that they were fantastic tonight, and it's really nice to see Mitch Marner kind of arrive, I guess, in this series. I didn't think that he was as good as he can be, but I certainly think that this was the best we've seen him play, and hopefully it's a precursor of things to come on Thursday, and hopefully it gave him his confidence back that he so desperately needs to be at his top form.
Yeah, I mean, again, we saw more of that Mitch Marner that we're used to seeing in the regular season, making more concise decisions with the puck. Again, still moments where he needs to take more authority. He's holding onto the puck a little too long in spot, especially when he's looking to shoot. Still, as I say, the shin pad specialist, where he's not able to get pucks through, but he did a better job of using guys around him more.
Yeah, if I want to nitpick one little thing about Mitch Marner, there was a moment in the first period in particular that sticks out to me where he had a chance to cut and take the puck to the net. He made the cut and then quickly realized, oh, there's 2 big behemoths in front of the net. I'm going to take it to the outside perimeter, actually. So still want him to be making those power decisions to take the puck to the net and go into those areas. If that means you're taking a hit, and you're absorbing some contact to do so, oh well, you got to take the puck to the net. And maybe a rebound comes out, and that's when Tyler Bertuzzi pounces on it and scores. But just made the initial cut look like he wanted to take it inside, and then kind of took it back around and kept things perimeter again. So just the the little criticism, but can't criticize too much after a win and a dominating performance like that. And then obviously Joseph Woll, I think, is both of our
Yeah.
number one stars tonight. He was absolutely fantastic for the Maple Leafs, season-saving saves time after time, at least 4 or 5 massive grade A stops, including in overtime and late in the third period when the game was tired and there was zero margin for error in his game, and he pulled through with a outstanding game to keep the season alive for the Maple Leafs. 1.98 goals saved above expected for Joseph Woll tonight.
Matthew Knies on Joseph Woll after the game. I feel really safe with him in net.
Yeah. Dude, we've been talking about that, how
Yes.
comfortable he makes us feel. You could tell that he makes the blue line, like the team, feel comfortable, not just the blue line, the whole team feel comfortable,
Yeah.
which means they're not making those silly mistakes in their own end because they're free and clear, and I can't quantify that, how that really
Yeah.
makes sense or how it works that way, but it does seem to, so it's I totally get what Nyes is saying there. I totally get it.
Yeah, and even Woll after the game, I was having the time of my life out there. Like we're all having like stress, like heart palpitations watching that game, and this guy's going out there saying I'm having a blast. I think it's just the mindset. He's not a guy that gets rattled very easily. And look again, there were some bounces that went his way. The crossbar on Charlie Coyle. Well, Marchand missed a few,
puts it wide.
missed a few
Yeah,
shots as well.
Yeah, but you can go the same way with Jeremy Swayman, right? Like Willie
Yep.
Nylander coming out of the box. It's not often this year you saw Willie storm in on a breakaway like that and completely miss the net, right? Did not happen very
Hit the
often. That guy
crossbar.
is pretty, like that's one where he'll usually go either bar down or he'll deke the goaltender out of his pants. But he's been off. Right? So, so the Bruins caught a couple breaks as well. So those can almost cancel each other out.
Yeah. Again, it's him anticipating plays. I think that's the biggest thing I was looking at it with this game. When a guy's in front of the net, he's anticipating what's going to happen and gets himself in the right position either to make the save or to make sure that play doesn't develop. Like that was one thing Swayman had done early in the series where if guys are in front of the net, he get his paddle on it or he get himself in a rock solid position to make sure to thwart any of those close chances. Joseph Woll, I just feel like he anticipates. He's not kidding. He's not swimming around. He's not second guessing where he needs to be. And I was so happy when he got redemption on that Trent Frederick play. Because I said, I do not want this series to end because Trent Frederick decided to have the game of his life.
It would have been Nick Paul all over again.
Yeah.
Right? Like Nick Paul eliminated them in Game 7 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. But like Frederick gets that lucky bounce and he pots that one early. And then I think Woll kind of at that point, like literally at that point, locks it down. The Bruins were like, don't get me wrong, the Leafs played well, but the Bruins at one point in the game were having so much offensive zone time. The Leafs could not get out. And how many times in this series have we seen this team can't get the puck out and it's in the back of their net?
Yeah, the Bruins had more quality tonight. Like
Yes.
that was the difference. The Maple Leafs certainly had the quantity of chances and controlled play and controlled ozone time, but when you tally up the quantity, the Bruins certainly had better looks, I would say, like that Trent Frederick when we were talking about the total scoring chances or high danger chances. The total scoring chances, the Maple Leafs led 28-3, but high danger chances, the Bruins led 14-5. And that's total game, not just 5-on-5, total game. And that's with the Maple Leafs having 2 more power plays than the Bruins did. and they still led 14-5 in high danger chances. So that just goes to show how big Joe Woll had to be to give this team a chance to win.
And that's why I think something like this. Jim Montgomery said that Jeremy Swayman might be in the Leafs' heads. I mean, Joseph Woll maybe got in the Bruins' heads a little bit tonight.
Maybe. Is doubt starting to creep in on the Boston Bruins? Why don't we take a break, come back, discuss that, and also discuss what the heck is going on with Auston Matthews and what maybe to expect Thursday for Game 6. We'll get into that on the other side. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for timed tournaments. You guys will work together, build up each other's boards, and the more you win together, the more awesome prizes you can unlock. And there's so much more to get. You've got unique stickers. You can trade them. They've got cool new playing pieces to travel with, and they've got hilarious emojis to taunt your friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robotic pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or on the App Store. Game on. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti reacting to the Maple Leafs 2-1 overtime win in Game 5 to stay alive and force a Game 6 Thursday night back in Toronto. A place where the Leafs have not had a whole lot of success this year. They are roughly 500 on home ice this season. They've lost both games here in the playoffs on home ice. And afterward, Sheldon Keefe was asked if that is an issue or something that they're going to be thinking about going home for Game 6. And essentially he said, it hasn't been great, but we did what we did tonight earned us an opportunity to flip that script on Thursday. And that's exactly what they're going to try and do. Now, they got one win without Auston Matthews. It'll be awfully difficult to get 2 wins without Auston Matthews. I mean, what do we think is going to happen here come Thursday? Like he wasn't even on the team bus to go to the game, which leads me to believe that he wasn't even in the building. I would assume probably stayed at the team hotel. He traveled with the club, but was unable to go. Had that quick 5-minute skate before the team got out there for morning skate and then got off quickly, which kind of told us chances are he does not play in Game 5. He obviously didn't. But Game 6, what do you think the status of Auston Matthews is going to be heading into the game on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, what that whole sequence this morning showed me when he was only on the ice for like 5 minutes, this isn't an illness. This is something else, because an illness, you can go through a game skate.
Yeah, probably. But so it does seem like there's now some reporting that there is something else going on.
Even Sheldon Keefe said it's an illness, but there's also another. He did allude that there's more to it than just an illness. He's just, again, being he's holding back a lot because, again,
he's muzzled. He's muzzled. He's been muzzled by the general manager. We already know this. He quite literally said the words, Tree Living said we're not doing daily injury updates to anyone throughout the playoffs, so don't bother asking. Of course, we're going to ask anyway, because that's the job of the media.
Still giving updates.
Yeah, kind of. But I think he shoots himself in the foot by not giving updates anyway, because then that just lets the media run with their their imagination, right? So, yeah, I think that Tree Living and Keefe and how they're going about the media this playoff run is kind of bizarre to me, but that's besides the point. Now, again, it seems like there is reporting. Both CJ and CJ talked about how there seems to be an injury involved. I think Jonas was tweeting about it as well earlier today, Jonas Siegel. And then on Overdrive, I did hear Chris Johnson saying that it sounds like at first he was sick, but then an injury kind of crept up in here as well. So what that injury is, we do not know. But again, I think it's going to be vital for him to get back into the lineup for game 6. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think again, we know that this team is just that much better. If they take what they did in game 5 and you include Auston Matthews into that, this is a series the Leafs should be able to win. If they play to this way, because game 2, Auston Matthews elevated. They played very structure oriented in game 2,
Yeah.
and Auston Matthews played a big part of that. And just imagine if you take what they did in game 5 and you include Auston Matthews, it takes this team to that level that they need to be at.
I don't know how to explain this, but when they do have one of their big boys that misses, the team does play different and plays better, more responsible. Yeah. I can't quite put my finger as to why that is. Because you're right. If they could just if everyone else on the ice could replicate what they did and then insert the big game ability from Auston Matthews, they should win game 6, game 7, no problem, based on, how tonight's game went. The problem is so often when this team's all together, they shoot themselves in the foot constantly. But when someone's missing and it's like, boys, we got our backs up against the wall. People are doubting us. When I said this yesterday going into the, I'm like, just when we think something, just when we think they're going to zig, they zag. Just when you finally doubt this team, that's when they show up, or vice versa, right? When you start to believe, then they go ahead and they lose, 5-2 to the New Jersey Devils in one of the worst games of the season. Like every time you start to believe they don't do what you expect them to do, and quite the opposite happens when you do not believe. They say, "Ha, joke's on you," because we're going to go out there and we're going to have a hell of an effort. I don't know why that's the case, but it has seemed to be the case all season long. But hopefully, again, if Auston Matthews gets back into the lineup, that doesn't change the way that the rest of the guys played, because tonight they played structured, they played with intensity, they played with urgency, and it really showed up out there on the ice. And obviously on the scoreboard, they ended up with the dub, and the Boston Bruins didn't. A question I have for you, Dave. Do you touch that top line? Does Auston Matthews, if he gets back into the lineup, does he go back to his rightful place, centered between Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi? Marner goes back to the second line? Or do you like what you saw enough out of that top line, Domi, Bertuzzi, and Marner, how much chemistry they seem to have and how well they played together? Do you want to touch that going into a do-or-die game 6? Maybe you consider putting Matthews on the second line and keep that line intact. Do you think that's even going to be a conversation in the coach's room heading into game 6?
I think they'll consider it. I would even go as far as say, if you want to keep Marner and Domi together, you put Matthews with Bertuzzi. You could do that if you really want to. Then you kind of split up that third line of Holmberg and Jarnkrok and Robertson, disband that line and kind of put those guys in other spots. And I think that could also work as well. You got a one.
So how does your lineup work then?
So let's say a Matthews, Bertuzzi, and Jarnkrok could be one trio, or even Holmberg with Matthews, because Matthew likes playing with Holmberg too. Domi, Marner, and then you could pick someone on the left side there, whether it's Jarnkrok, whether it's Holmberg. And I think you break up that top line.
What are you doing with Tavares?
You keep Tavares with Knies and Nylander. You have three lines.
Okay. So I see
you spread it all around.
Interesting. Okay, I did not think about that. Like going back to the duos. Go duos. So you've got Nylander and Tavares, you've got Marner and Domi, and so keep Domi in the middle is basically what you're saying.
Yeah. Why would you not have Domi in the middle at this point?
Well, my original thought was keep that line together the way it worked, and then potentially you could have Matthew slide into 2C, 1C, whatever, doesn't matter, but go put him down the middle, shift Tavares to the wing, and then have Tavares, Matthews, and Nylander as your other line. That's what I was thinking.
That's another option. I just think if you don't want to touch that second line, now you got a way to kind of get 3 lines. You just hammer the Bruins with these 3 lines. Fourth line, you don't necessarily need to play as much because you can spread the guys out with those top 3 lines there.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I'll be curious. I'll have my eyes glued to practice tomorrow to see if what the lines look like, if Matthews is back, if he's skating with the team or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But good effort, good victory tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll say this. Could doubt be creeping into the Boston Bruins' minds. They lost game 5. What's that?
I got a stat for you.
Okay, hit me with it.
The Bruins, in their last 5 attempts at an elimination game with Swayman and Ullmark as the tandem, are 0-5.
Ooh.
They have lost their last 5 elimination games.
So you're telling me that Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman have no killer instinct. Is that what you're saying?
History has shown.
History has shown. Well, one of those 2 historical data points are going to be broken. One has to show that they have a killer instinct. Is it going to be the Maple Leafs or is it going to be Swayman and Ullmark? I suppose we will find out a little bit later on in the series. But what I was going to say is the Bruins were in this exact same situation a year ago. They were up 3-1, had home ice advantage. They brought the Panthers to overtime in Game 5 with a chance to win it in OT. Failed to do so. Gave up a rebound goal to a power forward, and then were unable to win another game after that. Found themselves out in 7. Could the same thing be happening? Is history repeating itself here with the Maple Leafs? We'll see. We shall see. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. Well, I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at _Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back for another episode for you guys tomorrow. We'll tee up Game 6 between the Leafs and the Bruins back in Toronto. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.